All right, so today we are doing hot cocoa cookies, which is one of my favorite cookies to make. I make them every year around the holidays. So I'm happy to share this recipe with you guys. So the first thing we're going to want to do before anything else, we just want to preheat our oven to 350. So let's do that now. I know we had a few people join since I had mentioned it, but I had said to take your butter out before class so that it could become soft. If anyone was not able to do that, you can either you could take it out now and nuke it in the microwave for a few seconds. Like I was saying before, I would just start with every 5 seconds because you don't want to melt it. So you want to just like quickly do it, but not melt it. You can also rub it in your hands a little bit. I know someone else said they did that. You just want it to be soft to the touch and pliable. So then that way when we beat it, it combines with everything easily. All right, everyone have their oven preheated? Okay, perfect. So before we get started on the dough, we just want to make sure we have our baking sheets ready. So we want to take out a baking sheet or two and line it with parchment paper, tinfoil, whatever you have, or if you have like one of the silicone mats. I just have two full-size baking sheets here, and I'm just going to put parchment paper on each one of them and just set them aside for now. So they both look like this. I just have a sheet of parchment paper on. And then I just have those hanging out on my oven for now while we work on the dough. All right, so for the dough, the first thing we're gonna work on is our dry ingredients. We're gonna measure and get those all together. So if you are using a stand mixer like me, we're not going to be using this yet. If you're using a hand mixer with another bowl, we're not using that yet either. So right now we just need a medium-sized bowl to put our dry ingredients into, and then we will eventually add those to the wet ingredients. So I have a bowl this size. This might be a little big, but it's okay. So the first thing, we're going to measure 2 cups of all-purpose flour. If you're gluten-free and you have a gluten-free alternative, you can always use that. So I have my flour here, and I know I've talked about this before. When it comes to measuring for baking, I always like to scoop into the measuring cup and then level it out. Because if you use the measuring cup to scoop, sometimes you get a little too much flour, and then that can affect the consistency of your dough. So I'm going to hold my 1 cup measurement. I'm just going to scoop. So I'm scooping my flour with a spoon into the cup. That way we're not packing anything in there. And I'm going to overfill it. So then that way I know when it's exactly full when we level it off. So now I have this mounding pile of flour. I'm going to take just a normal knife. I'm going to use the back of my knife, the non-sharp side, and I'm going to level this so that way we have exactly 1 cup. Just like that. And I'm just going to put that in the bowl. I'm going to do that again. To get the second cup. So now once I see it's pretty much overflowing, Take the back of my knife, level it off. Step it in. And then once everyone is all set with their flour, give me a thumbs up and we'll do the next part.
Sophia, any chance you can close the window behind you? It's kind of blinding and then we don't get to see you too much.
I can put the blinds down.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, is anyone else still working on flour? All right, looks like we are all good. So the next thing we're gonna do is 2/3 of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. So for the cocoa powder, I'm gonna do the same thing because it has that same texture as flour and we don't want to pack it in there. So down to 1/3 cup. And I just have a cutting board here. I'm just going to do it over this since my cocoa powder is in a smaller jar. So I'm just going to scoop it into my measuring cup. And use the back of my knife, level it off. And then that way my cutting board's catching all the excess so I can use it. And then just pour that in the same bowl with the flour. That's 1/3, and we're going to do that one more time. So again, have it filled, leveling that off. If you have another bowl too, you can always do it over a bowl and then just pouring that right in. All this excess back in so I don't lose it. A little mess, but that's okay. All right, once everyone has their cocoa powder in there, give me another thumbs up. Oh, wow, it looks like we're all doing awesome. Love it. Okay, so next is 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So let's add that. Now this is a teaspoon and it's nothing crazy. So always just, you could scoop and then level the same way. Leveling's the same, but no need to scoop into the teaspoon. So I'm just measuring that out right into the bowl. And then one more thumbs up.
I'm sorry. You say 1 or 2?
1 teaspoon.
Okay, thank you.
Everyone got their baking soda in? Perfect. Okay, last thing is a half teaspoon of salt. So same process, measure and level, and throw that in there. And then now what we're gonna do, we have all of these dry ingredients here in this bowl. Just gonna whisk them together quickly. Nothing crazy, just wanna combine them all so they're not separated. So once you kind of see this light brown color, everything's pretty good. So then we can set this aside for now. And we're gonna start working with our mixers. Once everyone is all whisked and ready to go for our wet ingredients, just give me another thumbs up. All right, so if you are using a stand mixer, you're gonna wanna make sure you have your bowl in there, and we're gonna be using the paddle attachment. If you do not have a stand mixer, you can use a hand mixer with a large bowl. And the first thing that we're going to add is 3/4 of a cup of unsalted butter at room temperature. So that's why we had to take our butter out. I can squish it in my hands a little bit. So that's good. I might even, no, that's soft enough. So 3/4 of a cup is 1.5 sticks. So if you see on your butter, it should always have these little marks as to how many tablespoons. There's 8 tablespoons in a stick of butter, and then 1 whole stick is a half cup. So then we'll need half of a second stick to get to 3/4 of a cup. So what I like to do when adding butter for cookies is I always cut it up into a few pieces anyway. I don't want to add the whole stick in there just because it'll take a little bit longer to combine everything. So this way I'm doing a little bit of work for the mixer. So I'm just roughly chopping this first stick into cubes just to break it down a little bit. And then for the second stick, what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna take my knife and I need, so if there's 8 tablespoons in this stick of butter, to get half of it, I need 4. So I'm gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4 tablespoons, push down a little bit so there's a mark in my stick of butter. So that way now when I open it and I don't have those lines there anymore, I can see get the other side. So I see I have that little indentation right there, so I know I only need one of those. So I'll set that aside, and then I'm just gonna cut that one piece up. And then the rest of this stick can be saved for later. All right, so when everyone has their butter in, give me another thumbs up. Looks like we're all good. Awesome. So the next thing we're going to add in is our sugars. So we need 3/4 of a cup of packed light brown sugar. So this is where, when we're measuring, we want to push everything in to our measuring cups. All right, so this, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna use our spoon to scoop in, and we're gonna be scooping in because we wanna pack it down. So this is a 1/2 cup here, so I'm doing 1/2 cup first. So I'm scooping it into my measuring cup and I'm pushing down. That's gonna allow more room for more of the brown sugar. So every time I scoop, I'm gonna push, push, push. That's a full 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. So I'm gonna put that in, and then we need 3/4 of a cup. So I'm gonna do a 1/4 cup after that. I'm gonna do the same thing, scoop and press. Pack that in, and then in that will go. Another thumbs up when everyone's good on the brown sugar. All right, does anyone need any more time? All right, looks like we're good. So the next thing, oh wait. I'm just seeing the chats from earlier. Yes, you wanted the salt in the same bowl as the baking soda and all the other dry ingredients, so that was totally fine. Okay, so next we have 3/4 of a cup of regular granulated sugar. So this is just a typical measurement. You can just scoop, and then I usually over scoop so that I can use my knife again to level. Then we're gonna pour that into our bowl as well. That was a 1/2 cup. And then now we need a 1/4 cup. And then pour that in. So now we have butter and both of our sugars. And then thumbs up when everyone's ready. We can start mixing. Awesome. Everyone's doing a great job.
I'm sorry, how much are the regular sugar?
3/4 of a cup.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we'll give everyone a sec. Just to get everything in their bowls. Right. Does anyone need any more time or are we good to start mixing? All right, so we are going to, if you're using a stand mixer, you're gonna lower the handle, you're gonna lock it so that way it can't come up. Or if you're using a hand mixer, we're both gonna be doing it on medium-high speed for about 2 minutes. We want everything to come combined and it's gonna look light in color and creamy. So I'm gonna put mine up to 6 or 7. We're gonna start slow and then get higher. All right, mine looks pretty good. If you can see, it's all combined and it's light in color, looks nice and creamy all together. So that's exactly what we're going for. Once everyone's mixer is all good, just give me another thumbs up and we'll move on to the next ingredients. Yes, I can show again. This is what mine looks like.
Ours looks literally nothing like that.
You want to show me? No, that's totally fine. It might just need, it might need a little more mixing just to get everything combined, but it's definitely on the right track. If you're not using a stand mixer too, it might take a little bit longer just because these have a little more power. So if you're using a hand mixer or if you're mixing by hand, it just might take a little bit longer than it would with a stand mixer. It smells, Jonathan says it smells awesome. Yeah, it does. Just wait till they go in the oven, then it's really gonna smell awesome. Okay, how is everyone doing? Do we need any more time? Okay. Yeah, Jordana, that's great. All right, I think we're all okay. So the next thing we're gonna add now is our eggs. So we have 2 eggs. I have a little bowl here. I'm gonna crack my eggs into here first, so that way if any shell comes off, I can grab that out before it goes into the dough, just to make it a little bit easier. So I'm just lightly tapping on my counter, like I'm knocking on a door. All right, that one's good. So I'm just gonna dump that right in. And then just the same thing with the other egg. All right, so we've got both eggs in there. Once everyone has both eggs in, give me another thumbs up and we'll go to the vanilla. Looks like everyone's all good. So we need to add now 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So this I usually
How
just do
many
right.
eggs?
2 eggs. The vanilla I usually just do right over the bowl. And I'll just pour it right in. Once it's full, you get a little extra splash in there. That's never really a problem. All right, so give me a thumbs up once everyone has their eggs and their vanilla in the bowl. All right, does anyone need any more time? If so, just let me know. All right, I think we're all good. So we're gonna mix it again. This doesn't say.
Wait,
No, yeah, so we're just gonna mix it again until everything's combined. Shouldn't take too long. Same speed, medium, high.
do we have to do another 2 minutes?
What was that?
We have to do another 2 minutes.
It doesn't need to be 2 minutes, just until it's combined.
All right.
And I'm just also gonna scrape down the sides of my bowl quick, just to make sure it's getting everything. Sometimes stuff can get stuck at the bottom too. So I'm just gonna make sure it's grabbing everything. Give it another little mix. So now it kind of looks, it looks similar to before, just more liquidy, a little more wet, kind of like a muffin batter-esque. So that's what we're going for now. Once everyone is good there, just give me one more thumbs up and then we can go on and we're almost ready to start forming our cookies. I'm just scraping off any excess from the paddle. And then scraping down the sides of the bowl also. All right. How's everyone doing? Everyone all set? All right, looks good. All right, so now last step, we're gonna add in our dry ingredients. So we're just gonna carefully pour our pre-mixed dry ingredients before into our bowl of wet ingredients. I'm just using my whisk to help them in there. All right, so we've got all our dry ingredients in. If you're using any sort of electric mixer here, whether it be a stand mixer or a hand mixer, when you first start this, I mean, we're using low speed anyway, but you don't want to go any higher than the first notch right away, because then all of this flour and everything's just going to come up into your face, and then we're going to lose some of it from the mix, which is what so we want to start really, really slow. So I'm going to go up one. So that way I didn't lose anything. We want to keep it on low, but I might just go up one more. And the key here is we don't want to overmix this. So once it just looks combined, we're going to stop mixing it. All right. So now mine came together like that. So once it looks like that, you want to stop mixing it. I'm probably just going to scrape down everything and give it one more little mix just to make sure it got everything on the bottom and the sides, all that kind of stuff. But we don't want to mix too much more than that. So I'm just using my spatula, scraping down what I can get. It is a little bit of a stickier dough. I'm just gonna give it one more little nudge. All right. So once you've got it like this, you just want to get everything you can off of the paddle, or if you're using an electric mixer, off the two whisk attachments. Or if you're mixing by hand, just make sure you scrape everything off the spatula. I think I'm getting about as much as I'm gonna. Okay. Now we are ready for the fun part. So if you have a cookie scoop, you can use a cookie scoop. If not, you can use a rounded, or you can use a tablespoon, and you're gonna want to scoop them into rounded tablespoons. Let me find my cookie scoop. And as we do this, you want to make sure you have your baking sheets handy, because once we scoop them, we're gonna put them on that baking sheet. So I'm gonna push this back a little bit just so I can put my baking sheet here. Is everyone all ready to start scooping? Okay, awesome. So you're just gonna take your scoop or your teaspoon or tablespoon, whatever you have. I usually run it along the side of the bowl so it gets flat at the end. Then you just put it down, scoop it out. We're gonna lay them about 2 inches apart. These don't spread a lot, but they will a little bit. So you just want to make sure that they're not super close to each other. So I think I'm going to do 4 across. So my first row looks like that, and I'm just going to do a few rows on here. Up a little bit because I think I can get 4 rows of 4.
I'll wait for her to say how long
If you have an at 350 or 375.
350. Was there another question? I feel like I heard someone else unmute themselves. No? Okay. All right, almost done with one sheet. Once everyone has one sheet done, give me a thumbs up because we're gonna get those in the oven just for the sake of time so that we can finish and have one come out before we head out for the day. So I got 16 on here. You don't have to have 16 on yours, however many you can fit.
How do these look?
Oh, awesome. Nice, Jonathan.
Thanks.
All right, so once everyone has a tray finished, just give me a thumbs up and we're gonna get those in the oven together. The marshmallows aren't coming just yet. Those go on right, we're gonna bake them and then we put them on for 1 minute, right? And then they bake for just another minute. So those don't come just yet. All right, is everyone ready with one sheet? You don't have to have 2 sheets done. I just want to get one sheet in the oven together. See, mostly thumbs up, but does anyone need any more time? Okay, I think we're all good. If that's the case, we're gonna want to put in our pan and we're gonna set an 8-minute timer. I'm gonna turn this around. So we want these to go in for 8 minutes. So we just set that timer and like Ella had asked about the marshmallows. So what we do with the marshmallows is they're gonna, once our timer goes off, we're gonna very carefully take our pan out of the oven, put the marshmallows on top of the cookies, and then put them back in for another minute or so they can get soft. Another thing I forgot to mention in the recipe or the email is that if you don't have big marshmallows, you can always use mini marshmallows, and that's actually what I'm going to be using because I didn't have any big marshmallows. Is anyone, I'm assuming most people are using big marshmallows. If you are, give me a thumbs up. Okay, so if you are using big marshmallows, then what you're gonna wanna do now is cut some of them in half. Because then you're gonna put half of a marshmallow on top of each cookie. So we wanna do that, so then when our cookies come out, or when the timer goes off, we can start getting those marshmallows on there. If you do have mini marshmallows like me too, we don't need to cut them. We're just gonna put a couple on each cookie. So if you have to cut, if you're using the jumbo marshmallows, you want to cut them right down the middle. Not lengthwise, you would do it the other way because you want them to be not long. You want the round part. If you're using mini marshmallows, you can start scooping another tray. I'm gonna do that, but we're pretty much going to work with our one tray in the oven for class, and then once we sign off, everyone can finish their second trays. I'm just gonna scoop a few more now while we wait for those cookies in the oven. We should get, I believe, around 38 cookies, depending on exactly how big you make them. It's like I might not get much more than 2 trays here, so that would be 32 cookies. And once we get to putting marshmallows on the cookies, we do want to work as quickly as we can, because we don't want the cookies to cool down at all while they're out of the oven. Timer's almost ready. Just gonna get my marshmallows open. I've got about 40 seconds left. Turn you guys around. We want to make sure we're using our oven mitts for this also when we take out the pan. All right. Off. So we're gonna take these out quickly. This is what we're working with. You can see they spread a little bit. So I'm gonna grab, since I have the mini marshmallows, I'm gonna grab like a couple, push them into the center. And they're soft. That's why we want to try and work fast, because when we push them in while they're still soft, they'll stay. And like I said, if you're using the jumbo marshmallows, you just do 1/2 marshmallow on each. You want to be careful too, because the pan is hot. So while you're working quickly, just be mindful of your hands. Try to get 5 on each one. All right. So I've got a few marshmallows on each cookie. Now I'm just gonna put them back in for another minute. And the marshmallows will melt. Well, not melt, but they'll get soft. Does anyone have any questions at all? That's okay. Some said the cookies are bigger, so then yeah, just give them a couple more minutes in the oven.
How long, so we just took ours after the marshmallows were put on, so we did the extra
Uh-huh.
cooking. How long do we leave it on the baking sheet to cool?
I usually do just a couple minutes till they're a little more like they're cool to the not to the touch, but like a little, I'd say like 5 minutes, and then you ideally want to put them onto a wire rack to cool completely. That way they're off of the hot baking sheet. So you just leave them on there for a couple minutes, 5 minutes is fine. So that way they cool down, you don't burn your hands. And then you can put them on a wire rack after. All right, I'm gonna stick these in for another like 30 seconds. I just want the marshmallows to get a little softer. If you don't have a wire rack, you can, trying to think what else you could use. If you have, or if you have other baking sheets that just aren't weren't in the oven, you can switch them to that. You just want to switch it to something where the cookies aren't on a hot surface anymore, because then that way they won't overcook while they're out of the oven or continue to cook. Yeah, you could put them on a plate, that's fine. All right. So I just grabbed mine out. You can see the marshmallow didn't get toasty at all. They just got a little soft to the touch. They might look, when you first take it out, everything might look a little bit bigger and puffier. That tends to happen, but then they'll shrink back down to their normal size. So we would just leave these here for a few minutes. If you have a wire rack, you'll transfer it to a wire rack. Otherwise, just any other cool surface. What if we take peppermint candy, then crush it and put it? That sounds like a great idea. You could do that on top. You could drizzle some melted chocolate on top. Anything that really, if you like the flavor that goes with hot cocoa, that would be perfect. You can leave them as is. You can add more. That sounds like a great idea, Jonathan. Does anyone have any other questions before we head out for today? All right, it looks like everyone's all good.
Yeah, these are starting to smell amazing.
Right? It smells really good.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say a nice little treat, a nice warm cookie sounds pretty good. I would let it cool for a couple minutes, but there's nothing like a warm cookie. So if anyone's a little hungry and needs a snack, this might be a nice snack to have. Jonathan, those look great. If anyone else has theirs out of the oven, I'd love to see them. Oh, Hope, those look awesome. Jordana, those look awesome. Wow. Joshy, those look great. Melissa and Kay, awesome. Oh my God, they all look so good. You guys did amazing. And now you can bring these to all your holiday functions too, and everyone's going to be so impressed with your cookies. All right. If there's nothing, no other questions before we head out, as always, oh, I see some more popping up. Those look great. Thank you guys again. Oh, can you see mine? Yeah. Mine are like this. So they spread a little, nothing too crazy. It just, again, it usually depends on the size of, I don't know if my cookie scoop has a size per se. I think it's kind of like a 2 tablespoons. No. Mine might be like a 1.5 tablespoon scoop, and then maybe that's why they were a little under with the numbers, but they don't spread too much, so you can usually fit a lot. All right, so if that is it for everyone, as always, thank you guys for coming. I hope everyone had a great time. I hope everyone enjoys their holidays. And I will see you all in the new year in 2025. If anyone has school break, I hope you have a great time too, because once you grow up and you have to work every day, there's no more break. But thank you guys so much. Enjoy your cookies.